Welcome to one of the more relaxing parts of South Carolina. This is Clarendon County, and Clarendon's known for its beautiful lakes and great recreation activities. Today on City Showcase, I'm going to take you behind the scenes in Clarendon's own Manning, South Carolina. We're going to find out its rich, elaborate history and see where it's going in the future. Stick around if you've got a little while, and let's check out Manning, South Carolina. Relaxing.
Hometown.
Beautiful and warm.
It is matchless in beauty and hospitality. Well, the town of Manning, they were looking, when the Clarendon County became a county, they were looking for the geographic center of the county to form the county seat. At that time, they had a surveyor that determined that the county's geographic center was down near, I believe it was Ox Swamp. And so he happened to own some land that was a little bit off-center, but it was high and dry. So he was willing to donate that land to be the county seat, and that is where Manning is now. The courthouse is the third one that was built in the county, and it became the county seat because the geographic center of the county is actually in the middle of a swamp. As far as I know, it was named after the Manning family, of which Governor John Lawrence Manning was one. There were 5 South Carolina governors that came from the Richardson and Manning families. One of the Richardson's daughters married a Manning. And so we've had 5 governors of the state of South Carolina from Clarendon County. And specifically, John Lawrence Manning was one of those 5 governors. And this town of Manning was named after that family. We have a lot of history in Manning. The first thing that comes to my mind is the story of Potter's Raid, which is during the Civil War when Sherman's troops were marching to the sea. They had a contingent of his troops under the command of Potter came through Manning, and while here, one of the residents of Manning actually shot and killed a Union soldier who is buried in an unknown location in Manning. Now, there are many people who think they know where he's buried, and there's a general idea of the area where he's buried, but nobody really knows for sure where that Union soldier is buried. So this was the original public library. Once the public library next door to the archives was opened in 1977, this building was not used for some time. Then a committee was formed to restore the building and to open it up as an archives and a history center, because we do have artifacts here on display also. And the building is also on the National Register of Historic Places. One of the most notable people from the Manning area would have been Marion McKnight. She was Miss America in 1957, and I believe she was the first Miss America from South Carolina. Peggy Parrish, who wrote the Amelia Bedelia books, was the author of She is from Manning, South Carolina. Irvin Duggan, who used to be in charge of ETV, he was from Manning. If you want more on the history of Clarendon County, Manning, Paxville, Somerton, Turbidville area, we have collected and preserved a lot of artifacts, documents, family genealogies, historical information and books, much more than I could tell you, at the archives on Brooks Street in Manning.
Well, we were looking for something to represent our area on Highway 301 to get people off of I-95, and it was the Chamber of Commerce, Clarendon County Chamber of Commerce, and the County Promotions Committee of that organization. We came up with the idea of doing murals. And if you're going to do murals, you need a theme, and we thought, well, the American Revolution and General Francis Marion would be a natural for this area.
Having a mural from the Clarendon County Mural Society was something I never thought I'd have on the side of my store. I had a dingy wall on the side facing the hospital that wasn't very attractive, and George and Carol Summers came to me one day wanting to know if they could paint it for me for free. I said, sure, have at it.
Initially, we found that a lot of people questioned, why are you talking about the American Revolution? Why are you talking about Francis Marion in this area? since he was born over in Georgetown, and you know, you hear about him in other places. Once we started pointing out to people that this was where he primarily operated, because the trails, the supply lines from Georgetown and Charleston to Camden went through this area. This one depicts the Battle of Waibu Swamp. You see on the left-hand side the British approaching the causeway, and in the middle is Marion's guys are waiting for the British to come, and here we see General Marion talking to his troops and directing them to set up for the arrival of the British.
It's just been a draw for my customers and folks coming through town just to stop and look at this historical mural.
We have 21 mural panels right now in Clarendon County, and we're planning 3 more panels here in Manning this spring.
Weldon Auditorium is an old high school auditorium that was built back in the 50s, and it was used by this community up until the early 90s. It was connected to the high school at one time, but the old high school burned, and actually they had moved to a new facility. And the community continued to use it, but it lost its heating, and it was having some repair problems and plumbing problems. So since about 1996, really no events have been held in here, which is unfortunate because it was a beautiful facility and offered many opportunities to the community to perform or have contests or different experiences. Clarendon County had many events here. Our claim to fame is Miss America 1957, Marion McKnight, who was on that stage many times. And we're very proud of her. In fact, she's our honorary chairman of this fundraising of Weldon Auditorium. But we had not only beauty contests, we had many plays, community singings, conventions. Jesse Jackson came here and spoke. We had a lot of important people come here to speak, and of course the schools used it for many activities. The county now owns the facility and will operate the facility as a community complex, and it has many parts to it. Not only the auditorium, but it will have an art gallery area. It has a gymnasium that will be redone, many activity areas that the community can come to Clarendon County and come to Manning and use this facility. The projection for the completion of the building, and that means everything completed, will be December 2010. We will have, hopefully, symphony orchestras come, gospel groups. We've already got a gospel group that wants to book the area. We are going to be open to plays, performances, local things, conventions, groups. Anyone that wants to use it in an appropriate manner will be able to use this facility. And also I want to say that we want to do some programs especially for children, and we're hoping to have movies on Saturday. We don't have a movie theater in Clarendon County, and we'd like to have an area where we can have children's movies and popcorn and fun things for them, as well as have family movies and maybe even adult movies sometimes. So we're having a large projector screen, and we're going to have all the things that we need to do that for the Saturdays or evenings or whenever we do those things.
Where behind me is Lake Marion, which is one of the 2 lakes on the Santee Cooper system. We're actually in Tawkaw Creek, which is a finger off of the main lake. And we're at the John C. Land III boating facility, which is where we host most of our national tournaments and regional tournaments. And this part of the lake is just a small part of 150,000 acres. If you go to the upper end, into what we call the swamp area, you know, that's not residential, it's a beautiful place. So the majority of what we concentrate when we're having a tournament here is largemouth bass. Most of them are bass tournaments, but the lake's known for stripers. That's what, you know, landlocked stripers are what the reputation was, the original reputation of our lake, because they were trapped when they built the dam. And then we actually supplied those fish to lakes all across the country. But we've got a reputation for having huge catfish in the lake. A lot of the permanent guides on the lake anymore fish primarily for catfish. People like to come and try to catch a 50 or 60 pound catfish, and they've been caught up to, you know, 80 pounds. So, and you can actually catch them in the dead of winter. The colder the better for catfish. Bass fishing doesn't really pick up until February, March. But crappie, brim, you know, anything you can want to catch, we've got in the lake for the most part. This facility right here was built in '94, And at the time, it was state of the art and ahead of everybody in the nation. So it's still probably one of the best facilities in the country that you can host a tournament. And the reason being, we've got 6 ramps where you can get a 200 boat field into water in a short amount of time. The parking is good enough to hold those 200 to 300 truck and trailer combos. Plus this event area right here has parking for spectators also. And just the location and the fact that Santee is one of the better lakes to fish in the country still. It kind of goes through cycles up and down. We've had a few records broken here in the last 15 years, and the fishermen like to come here.
Manning, for me and most of us that live in Manning, is the center of the universe. We couldn't imagine a better place to be. We can be to the beach in an hour. We can be in the mountains in a couple hours, and just has to be the friendliest town in the world. There's nothing that you can't get in Manning for just asking. We've just got a great community here.
I like living in Manning because it's quiet, and I grew up here. I graduated from school here, and my kids go to school here in Manning also.
It has enough of the small town qualities to where you can get to know the people and the residents, and but yet it has enough of the big city amenities as far as shopping and grocery stores and things along those lines, so that it's very convenient also.
It's a small town and everybody knows everybody, and we all have a tight-knit community, so that when people have their children, we all can walk and chat for each other.
I love it. Manning Monarchs are the number one team in the country, if I should say. Work here at Manning at the high school, and I think we got the finest school system in the South.
I suppose the part that I like best about Manning I'd have to say it would be the people. And I grew up in a military family and really never had a home. Every 3 years we moved, and when I came to Manning, I wasn't so sure if I was ready to settle down for the rest of my life. Of course, I've been here 44 years, so I guess I have settled down. But it's certainly the people that make Manning such a special place. It's a very unique town, it's a pretty town, but the people are what makes it so special, and that's what I love best about Manning.
Well, that's Manning, South Carolina. Beautiful lakes, a rich history, and a very bright future. Now, once again, I can't show you everything on the show, so you've really got to come and visit it for yourself. For more on Manning, South Carolina, and the rest of this great place we call home, stay tuned to FTC Now. For City Showcase, I'm Mark Roberts. Thanks for joining me.